I was young. I was hopeful.
I am asking my colleagues to please vote yes for all New Yorkers and to vote yes for me and Lewis.
I was still at the age where I was dreaming and full of optimism.
I cannot legally come up with an argument against same-sex marriage. Who am I to say that someone does not have the same rights that I have with my wife, who I love, or that have the 1,300 plus rights that I share with her?
And then it happened.
The right and the freedoms that this Empire State has built its reputation on should live forever. It should live forever in these halls and in this room, because together in partnership, we're proving tonight that people that care can truly make a difference. I vote yes.
I was on top of the world the day that New York State passed same-sex marriage, back on June 24th, 2011.
Thank you.
Ayes 33, nays 29.
This is Voices with Vicky. I'm just an ordinary married lesbian seeking extraordinary conversation, so let's go. So same-sex marriage has seemingly faded into obscurity now. This movement was so important to so many people for decades, going back to as early as the late 60s and the early 70s when this whole movement started.
The history of gays and lesbians in America has been largely hidden. Love expressed in secret, lives too often lived in the shadows. For generations, to be gay meant being forsaken by family, fired by employers, even risking arrest or forced hospitalization. Gay life and gay love, however, found a way. In cities across the country, gay people created their own families of friends and lovers, their own society and culture, which thrived.
I'm finding now that they're blaming same-sex marriage for all the things that are going wrong now, with the gender ideology, with the transitioning of children, with the men and women's sports, that all of that is a result of same-sex marriage. And I have to say, I disagree with that. And we have to keep speaking out that that is not to blame. That was not the intention of the gay and lesbian movement. We wanted families. We wanted to fit in. We wanted to have our spouse and just be a part of everyday existence, just like everyone else. That was what we wanted to achieve. And we wanted the same protections as straight people. That's all.
The notion of equal rights for gays and lesbians, however, seemed like a dream. In 1965, a man named Frank Kameny, who had been fired from his government job because he was gay, along with fellow activist Jack Nichols, picketed the White House in the nation's first major public gay protest. But the obstacles ahead were clear.
It wasn't just about this idea that people wanted to be recognized. It was more about the fact that they just wanted to carry the same protections and be treated the same as a heterosexual couple would in entering a union. And, and I'm not talking about the religious aspect. That's a whole other conversation in and of itself as far as getting married in churches and whether that's okay or not okay. And in my personal viewpoint, that is totally up to the church.
And what was once considered an unthinkable goal, legalized same-sex marriage, began to seem at least possible. It happened first in Massachusetts in 2004.
It was this very thing that many couples never thought that they would actually see come to fruition. And it did. And it changed so much for the gay community and changed the minds of so many people.
Over the next 10 years, 36 states and the District of Columbia would eventually follow, despite years of political and legal challenges by equal rights opponents. And in 2013, the Supreme Court in the United States v. Windsor threw out the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, granting federal recognition to married same-sex couples, but only if they lived in a state where it's legal. And that ruling set the stage for today's historic decision by the Supreme Court.
My focus today is on the celebration of being able to be married. And I feel that we have forgotten what a beautiful privilege that is to have in America, because we're too busy thinking about and talking about all this gender ideology stuff all day long. we have taken for granted the wonderful thing that it is that we have and the things that we've really achieved that have made a real difference on people's lives, and my life personally as well. A lot of people on the far left right now are talking about how they think if Trump is reelected, that we'll end up in a situation where those rights are going to be plucked away because of the Supreme Court and the Roe v. Wade thing, which they're completely separate and different issues. Anyways, I know that the Biden administration did codify the law with same-sex marriage and interracial marriage. I think that was back in 2022.
In this vote, the yeas are 62, the nays are 37. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn having voted in the affirmative, the motion is agreed to.
It's amazing to me when I look back and remember how important it was to me at the time to have the right to legally marry somebody of the same sex. And when it happened, just the feeling of the happiness that I had and the feelings of hope and change and love were just, it's almost indescribable how I felt when I was there that night on the steps of the Capitol. It really just solidified so much about what we had been fighting for, and to finally have that meant the world. And I wasn't the only one. And I don't want it to be forgotten. I don't want those moments to be forgotten and to be overshadowed by all the crap that's going on now. This was a moment in history I had the privilege of witnessing. I knew one day I'd find my love and would be able to celebrate that union openly with the law on my side. And I did just last year. So how do you guys feel? Do you feel like that same-sex marriage is kind of faded into this obscure place and that no one's paying attention to it anymore, that it's been taken for granted on some level? What do you guys think about same-sex marriage and where we are with all of that? And do you think it's going to be taken from us? Do you think that Trump will take it away?